Today I'd like to show off a simple format with which you can write D&D adventures. Me and my gang of idiots use 5th edition, but I'm pretty sure this would work with any edition of D&D. Actually, probably any role-playing game, so go crazy. But first, context. When I first started to DM, I didn't have much trouble coming up with ways to get the party killed, but what I did have trouble with was a physical format to write down the stories I had in my head. To start, I took some of the adventure components out of the Dungeon Master's Guide and made them into a nice little list. I always fill this out before I write anything else, because the adventure almost starts to write itself once you have the rough outline. How might a tyrannical gnome overlord be overthrown by unsuspecting little fairy? I don't know, but because I have this little outline, I already have some ideas as to how that might play out. That said, I almost always go back and change the specifics when I get a better idea of what I want out of the adventure. Now this is helpful because all of these components will be in every adventure ever. They may not sound right. For instance, the villain might just be the wilderness in general or something, but you get the idea. D&D is really tricky because it's not a story you're reading to the players that they roll the dice through. It's a really robust fantasy simulator that happens to work well if you have a little adventure to gently nudge the players into. So what I tried to do was create a very general what might happen list that would be easy to change on the fly. It's important to write not only the events that will take place, but also how the players might solve them. I try to be as hands-off as possible so the players can run amok. My go-to length for adventures is 5 or 6 encounters, but it really varies depending on the nature of the encounters. For instance, fighting a bunch of lizards will probably take a lot longer than, like, one rope swing or something. However, I had difficulty putting down detailed encounters onto the encounters page, so I stole that little, like, see room 1A, yada yada, and put that in the, like, really massive paragraphs where you can just, you know, fill it with just so much excessive detail. Just disgusting. I use the notes to remind me of, like, real-world prep things or, like, just context in the world and more general happenings, but either way, I usually don't put anything the players should know about it in here. And finally, the reference. This is just a little notice where I can zip the monster stats or magical item information on the fly. And that's it. I hope this was vaguely useful to anyone. And, yeah, go kill a dungeon or something. Bye.